Good evening, school board and faculty and administration and neighbors. My name is Ryan Fogg. I live on 188 Stark Street. And I have two daughters. One is in first grade and one is in third grade. And they love their school and they love their teachers. We had a discussion about this, about the bathrooms in 2017. And since then, I've had some unique opportunities with my career. There were some changes that were made at the company I was working for, and I work with buildings. I work on control systems and electrical systems and mechanical systems in buildings, and I see a lot of them. The opportunity that I was given, I work for a lot of universities. I work on a lot of research facilities. I've been working a lot for a company that's, just to give you some background, a company that's owned by a woman who is developing, her company is developing, working on developing artificial lung. And she has a facility in Quebec, Canada, in Bromont, Quebec, that I was working on to help get that facility up and running, where they're working on developing a drone to transport those lungs. And the mind is an incredible thing to what it can accomplish, and I've seen that in these facilities. And the interesting thing about this woman that owns these buildings is she was a man, and she was a man not too long ago. And it kind of opened my eyes to see how this kind of portrays in the world that our children are going into. They're going to be exposed to this. They're going to be going into transgender bathrooms. And so now what do? Well, fortunately, I know buildings, and I understand buildings, academic buildings and research buildings. And I was in a college recently, where I walked into the college, and I was trying to commission the building. Commissioning is where you make sure that the facility is working, operating the way it's supposed to. And I had to use the bathroom, and I walked into the transgender bathroom, and I thought, I'm okay if there's a woman in here. I don't really care as long as we both wash our hands. Because the way this facility was designed, there was a lot of privacy. And that's where we're at. The conversation about should we or shouldn't we do a transgender bathroom, to me, that was 2 years ago, that was 3 years ago. We have to do it now. We have to do it because these children need to have the opportunities, just like this woman does, who is saving lives. She's developing, they're doubling the amount of lungs that are available in America. That's their goal. Their goal right off the bat is we're going to double the amount of lungs to save people's lives. So our kids need to be able to accept this and need to move on with it. But now we, as parents and as school board, we need to provide the facilities for them to do that. That's why I'm here. I want to talk about the facilities. So the problem is there are very little laws or codes, because everything I do is based off of either an engineer's document, a submittal that specifies how this is going to be built, an architect's drawing how this is going to be built, and we don't have that for this situation that we're running up against. And that's why it gets so emotional and challenging for us. And so what I've done is I've kind of put together some of what I've seen, and I would like to provide some of the documents that I've got to the school board. The first one I went to was OSHA, because OSHA's everywhere. And they have a best practices policy for transgender workers and how to design those facilities. And they're pretty vague, and this document was back in 2015. So I'm already looking at this like that's not very relevant anymore, but it is a good starting point. So I'd like to provide that to you. It says that the best policies provide additional options which employees may choose but are not required to use. They include single occupancy, gender-neutral, unisex facilities, and use of multi-occupant, gender-neutral restroom facilities with lockable single-occupant stalls. Okay, so when I walk into a gender-neutral bathroom, I walk into a room, and I'm walking into a room that is open. It's very open to the corridor outside of me, and there is a line of sinks and mirrors. just like a, a bathroom, but just a little bit more open. Why is it more open? Because it doesn't need to be closed off from the hallway, because each of the toilets are in a separate room. They're in a separate stall, and there are designs in here, and I'll get into that in a minute. But each of those rooms have a lockable door, and it says occupied or vacant on it. You know, as you walk into that washroom, really, a line of sinks and mirrors and a countertops for whatever anyone needs, you know that you feel safe. And I didn't feel like I was in a spot where, being a guy, I'm looking at it from the other perspective. Am I going to be accused of something? And I didn't feel like I was in a situation that could happen, because the way the facility was designed. So that was kind of enlightening for me, and I was appreciative of the work done by those architects to create that facility in such a way that allowed everybody, whether it's the one person or all the other people or just all of us, the privacy that we need and our children need to be able to move forward and not even have to have a discussion about it. Okay, so with that, these designs have been implemented, and I would like to then make reference to the American Institute of Architects. They had 2018, this is just last year, so now we're getting much more recent than our past discussions or the OSHA document. And they had an innovation award that was given to a bunch of architects at a small firm who did a study called STALLED. STALLED, spelled S-T-A-L-L-E-D, there you go, there's the pun. It takes as its point of departure national debate surrounding transgender access to public restrooms to address the design consequences of an urgent social justice issue. The need to create safe, sustainable, and inclusive public restrooms for everyone, irrespective of age, gender, religion, and disability. What was most impressive, the jury said that what was most impressive was their focus on complex cultural issues and how architecture can solve them. So this is kind of the overview of that award. There's a whole website for it, and I would encourage you to check out that website. I found it had a lot of great, but yet very boring. I mean, I love talking about control systems. I always end up coming here to talk about bathrooms. I hope someday we can talk about control systems or energy management issues that we can address and save money on. But that's okay. We're going to get through this. And then I also have another article that was a really good take on that. They referenced they referenced that award, and they also have a few designs in here, a few layouts for bathrooms and everything that are available. Yes, sir.
I assume the layout of those single occupant bathrooms are floor to ceiling, correct? They're not your traditional metal stalls with gaps at the bottom and the top, correct?
Incorrect. The ones that I've been in are framed like a closet almost, where it's got, but it's a bathroom, and it even referenced having a window, a peephole from the inside out. So if the occupant is inside the toilet room, which has walls on all four sides and a door, there's a peephole so they can even see out to add an increased level of security or safety, so they can look out and see who's outside of the stall. It seemed like another, it's too bad that we might need that, but I could see how that could help somebody feel safer. And I believe that's included in here in one of these studies.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And yeah, so now my concern is how long it takes to implement this. And for the members and attendants of the audience from the Budget Committee, this is very important to me. I don't know if we're going to get away from being able to have a transgender or gender-neutral bathrooms. I'm going to call it gender-neutral because that's really what it should be. It doesn't matter who uses it; it's irregardless as long as we wash our hands. But we got to get through this somehow. I urge the budget committees and the school boards to take a look at this, to work together and find a way to make this implemented into our school system as quickly as possible. Is it free? No, it's not free. It's not even cheap. It's not going to be cheap. I thought one school system did all of their schools and it cost them $500,000. So it's $500,000. How much is that lawsuit going to cost? How much is that child's safety going to cost? To me, this needs to be very pressing and very urgent to get into the works right away. it's gonna be tough to get it in there right away. You know, it's hard to find, it's hard to get contractors in. I know what the construction world is like. I know what building's like right now, but we got to get on this right away. And I would really urge you guys to take a look at this, please, quickly, and come up with a plan. Get somebody together to start drawing up designs and get a layout out there. There's a lot of good people. If you need references, I'd be happy to give you some. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Fogg.
Thank you.
Thank you for the literature.
Would you like it?
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Any further public comment?
Croc TV.